How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another preliminary, for the time being, title Jeff and Isaac Talk History. How's it going, Isaac?
Good, going very well. Having a good day. Happy to be here and talk about some giants throughout history. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be a fun subject. So,
Yeah, no, this is definitely a topic that has interested me for quite a while. And I first heard about like the giant bones, the alleged giant bones that were tossed in the river from the Smithsonian Institution and all that,
mhm.
and all the controversy around that. And then actually, I think it was last year when I was painting my house, Brothers of the Serpent, they had a three-part series on giants, and it was like 9 hours, and I just listened to the whole thing the whole
Yep,
time I was painting it. I just enthralled with it. So
nice.
it's pretty neat to get into it. That and then the biblical Nephilim giants in the Bible, David Goliath type stories. So that's in your wheelhouse for sure. Figured we
Would it
could
be? Yeah.
go through them, compare, decide if we want to decide at the end on
Yeah.
anything.
See what we can
So
come up with.
yeah,
Conclusion wise,
yeah.
because
So I want to get started.
there's a lot of overlap with a lot of that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. There's stories, myths across the entire world of giants in their own ways,
Hmm.
either religions or just that they say there's that type of people there. So, excuse me. Before we get going, we got a few people in the chat here. Just wanted to say hi. East 10, how's it going? Good seeing you. Thanks for coming. Just JK, hail, brother.
Hell,
Yep, we got Isaac 556 by 45. Oh, that's you.
who's
I'm
that
just
guy?
kidding.
Who's that guy?
All right. So we can you want to start off with David and Goliath? Oh,
Sure, may as well. Yeah, I think that'd be
oh,
fantastic. I
all right.
definitely a lot of verses to go off of on that, but let me see. Yeah.
Pull it up right here. We zoom in a little bit. Oh,
Yeah, so this is from one of the sites, Bible Facts, that I sent you. This is just, topical, the headlines of it all. Who was
mhm.
Goliath, essentially. And I think, there's many talks in the Bible about giants and large people and such, but I think in the forefront of most people's minds is Goliath. He's the most notable, in my opinion, in the Bible, the
Okay.
story of David and Goliath. So here, just quickly, if we could just run through the quick 10 facts of who was Goliath in the Bible, the fallen giant. So
All
the
right.
takeaways, what do you want to
Go
go for
wherever you want
first?
me to go.
Okay.
We can do the brief history if you want. Like you said, we can
Yeah.
truck over it
Yes.
quick.
Yeah.
And
So
I
that,
know, oh, sorry to cut you off there. I was going to say, I remember growing up, always hearing about David and Goliath, and they always depicted him as like 30, 40 feet tall, just this ungodly, massive guy. And you told me that he
yeah.
actually wasn't even near that height, according to
No. So
scripture.
according to the Bible, he was 6 cubits and a span, which translates to modern measurement 9 foot 9 inches. So when
Yeah.
you think of that, think of like a 6 foot tall guy plus 50%. You know, 50% taller than most of us. So he's not like a kaiju. He's not like Godzilla out here or anything, or the Incredible Hulk. It's just 50% larger guy.
Yeah.
So, and
The heck?
I've seen the same things you have with this massive, towering, overarching,
Hmm.
skyscraper of a man. And as you see here in these depictions, he's much bigger than most of the men, but yeah, he was a mighty man as depicted in the Bible. So just here, the quick little article graph. It says
Yeah.
right below this talk.
I want to stop you quick, Isaac. Something's going up
Sure.
with the stream.
Okay.
Yeah, it said we've only been going for a minute.
It's looking good on my end on YouTube. YouTube's coming
Okay.
in clear. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Just
Well,
maybe stream. Yes, YouTube is good.
okay, good. It's just
We've got the
typical
YouTube page open
StreamYard
all
stuff.
the time. Yeah, StreamYard, it's not YouTube's fault, it's StreamYard, so
Okay.
but, yeah. So, how's it looking on your end?
Yeah, it says 5 minutes. We're good over here.
Okay,
Okay. We'll
good,
get back
good.
to it then.
Nice.
All right. If you want to go over
So,
quickly the
yeah.
story of David and Goliath.
So, right there, yeah, just quickly, the Israelites were out in the desert, they were, encamped, and the Philistines, were depicted as savages, and they were here to conquer. So it says here, the Philistines gathered their forces for war against the nation of Israel. Goliath was a great Philistine warrior who challenged the Israelite soldiers to single combat. He asked them to choose a man to fight him. If the man wins the duel and kills him, the Philistines would become Israel subjects. But if Goliath defeats the man and kills him, the Israelites would become the Philistine subjects. So that's cool. Pick a fighter and one-on-one combat. So it's pretty cool, and serve them. However, nobody was brave enough, and no one dared to, as they were afraid of him because of his reputation. And yes, Goliath had a long reputation of being undefeated. So nobody was willing to fight him, but one man or one shepherd boy, David, would come and stand up in faith and face down the mighty man. So it says here, when David came right there to the Israelite camp, he was not able to take the parade of insults that the Philistines were spewing out. He was what motivated him was insults coming from the other side.
No,
So
really.
you know what? Fine. He said he did the meme. He said, fine, I'll do it myself. So he volunteered to respond, and armed with a sling and 5 smooth stones that he did pick up from a river, he decided to face the giant. He defeated the Goliath with a slingshot and a smooth stone. When the Philistines saw their champion beheaded by David, they lost all heart and took flight. So God delivered Israel from their arch enemy on that day. So that's the basic story of David and Goliath. He hit him right between the eyes, knocked him out basically, and then cut his head off with his own sword.
Well, they
So
left that out of Sunday school.
yeah, it was a little more graphic than they lead on to once you actually read it. So, but yeah, as you can see here, I'm not going to read all that, but
Yeah, no, you can just.
he was a large man. He was fully equipped. So mind you, he wasn't just bearskin. He was helmeted, chest plated. He had bronze armor. He had what does it say here? He had a bronze scale armor weighing 5,000 shekels, which is approximately 125 pounds. So think of that.
That's
His armor weight, yeah, that's heavy. That is heavy. So 125
yeah.
pounds worth of armor on that man is substantial. So pretty crazy. So he was a big dude. He was a
Wow.
big boy. He had a bronze javelin
I'm
and
sorry.
a spear on a spear shaft. So he was pretty big. It says
He's a
here the
big
spear
dude.
was approximately 8 feet. Yeah, crazy. So he was. I Do you blame any of the Israelites not wanting to face him down?
No, that'd be like someone going up against Thor Bjornsson. That's normal size
Yes.
at his
Yes.
fighting weight when he took on Eddie Hall.
hmm
Uh,
That would be
nope.
terrifying. So imagine you're in your little encampment in the wilderness, and in comes another crew of people, and they say you got to
Mhm.
fight this guy or we're gonna conquer you. It's like, dude, I don't think so. So
No.
yeah, a lot of this gets into the meaning and the biblical history and significance of Goliath. There's a lot in the biblical manifestation of
Okay.
his purpose, because David does come from the line of Christ's ancestry. He's one of his ancestors, and so there's a lot of meaning from one of Jesus's ancestors defeating the giant. So
Okay.
this gets into his height. Here it does on this site. It says 9 foot 6 inches. Other sources translate to 9'9", 9'6", but over 9 feet tall, as compared to the average soldier back then in that place
Yeah.
and time was about 5'8".
Well, he's
Bronze
got
helmet,
what
bronze
armor?
scaled armor, everything. Yeah, he
If
had
it was bronze,
green.
then it was definitely Bronze Age. So
Yes.
at least 3100 BC, I think, was the end of the
I
Bronze
don't think
Age.
quite. I don't think quite that long ago.
Or
I don't
no,
think quite that long.
1200 BC. Sorry, I think was towards the
Yes,
end of
that's
the
more like
last
it
Bronze
because
Age. So
that was a
anything.
little over 3,000
Sorry.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Goliath a Nephilim?
Yes, he was.
Okay. You want you
So
want to explain
Goliath,
what a Nephilim is, quick? Sorry.
sure. A Nephilim is a being who is descended from a fallen angel that mated with a human female. So
Okay.
essentially, according to the Bible, fallen angels, dark angels, did take on It's graphic. It's not a good thing. They essentially, and children were born, and they were Nephilim. So they were considered the mighty men. This is spoken of in Genesis in the very beginning,
Okay.
very early on in creation. There was mighty men that roamed the face of the earth that were descendants of Nephilim, and they would tribe and war and wander around, and they were big boys.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Like here it says, descendants of the sons of God and the daughters of men. And I've always heard
mhm,
that phrase. And you can almost
yes,
even kind of think about that as like demigods in like Greek and Roman.
yes, absolutely,
Yep.
yes,
All the excuse me, I clear my throat. The God comes down, mates with a mortal,
hmm
and their child is half God, half human.
And it says
So they're
here,
almost
right there, the Nephilim were men of renown, supposedly grew to enormous heights and had extraordinary abilities. So this gets into the, beyond just being strong and
Mhm.
big. They potentially, who knows what else they were capable of, being, you know,
Yeah.
descended from fallen angels and stuff. So who knows? But
There was some big
yeah,
boys.
it's mentioned in the Book of Enoch as well, which the vast majority, including myself, of Christians do not consider canon scripture, just extra, essentially like an extracurricular text with
Okay, I was gonna say,
very
isn't
debatable.
Enoch, wasn't that Hebrew? Yeah, ancient
Yeah,
Hebrew.
as basically the entirety of the Old Testament
Old
is
Testament.
written in
Okay,
Hebrew.
but
Yeah,
this says it's not included in the Old Testament canon. So
it's not because it's
yeah.
considered. There's very, very, very strict guidelines in the church as a whole that
Okay.
determines what's scripture and what's a historical text. What's the word of God and what's a text of man. You know, what is not
Okay.
inspired by the word of God. So that's that. But still, the Book of Enoch, people do reference it for historical reference and times and dates and ancestries, and it does mention mighty men very much. Nephilim in that a lot as well. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Rephates
Yeah, that's
20
a tough one.
times.
Refates? Mhm.
That's why you're here. Okay.
Yes. So, yeah, they were mentioned. The Rephates are mentioned nearly 20 times in scriptures. All the references are there on screen. And Moses encountered King Og of Bashan, one of the last Rephites, whose iron bedstead measured 13 and a half feet long and 6 feet wide. So that was
Yeah.
the size of his bed, but that's not necessarily
Hmm.
the size of him, just the size of his bed. Um, and what does it say? Another race of giants mentioned in the Bible is the Anakites or Anakim. Some academics speculate that the Philistines came from the Anakim. Gath was an ancient stronghold of the Anakim, and this makes Goliath champion status even more outstanding. So,
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot of references all throughout the Old Testament. They came by many names, but of just giant, bigger than average people. There are other giants mentioned in Second Samuel as well as First Chronicles who were related to Goliath in the Bible. Yes, he had ancestry that was documented. These were let me just full screen StreamYards real quick so you
Yeah.
can
All right. Want
see.
me to?
Perfect. I got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Make it bigger for you.
That's perfect. So yeah, they were Ishi Benob, whose bronze what was it? Whose bronze spearhead weighed 300 shekels or 7.5 pounds. So a 7.5 pound spearhead, that's pretty heavy. You pick up a 7.5 pound weight and imagine holding that on the end of an 8 foot wooden rod.
Right.
You got to be strong to be able to manipulate that, throw it to thrust and throw and all sorts of stuff.
Hmm.
So Saph and Lami, brother of Goliath, who had a spear with a shaft like a weaver's rod, and an unnamed warrior, a huge man with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24
Oh, wow.
digits in all. Yep. So that's very interesting. Some scientists suspect that Goliath has an inidentifiable family tree suggestive of autosomal dominant inheritance causing familial acrom. What I don't want to
Acromegaly.
acromegaly or gigantism, essentially gigantism, which we're familiar
Yeah.
with as we were addressing before,
Hmm.
and whether Goliath received his height through supernatural means or hereditary genes, or genetic hypothyroidism, which is an increase in growth rate resulting in tall stature. He was a colossal figure in biblical times. So I think that sums up the character of Goliath, and they leave
Yeah.
it here. It's irregardless of where he gets it from: supernatural,
Yeah.
hereditary, or genetic malfunction. That's less relevant than the key takeaways of his life and him as a
Yeah.
figure. And we know his timely demise as well. So
Yeah. No, that I think that's probably one of the first giant stories most kids, if their family has anything to do with religion has heard. It's definitely the first one I heard. My mother was very religious growing up, so I did the whole Sunday school and stuff like that. But took my own path down the road. I have nothing, not crapping on any religions. Just we all got different ways of life.
mhm.
So yeah, Goliath was a big dude.
Big dude. Yeah, you think about. I think of it in terms of the weight of his belongings.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking. Some of these guys had 7.5 pound spearheads. That's heavy. I mean, come on, that's very heavy.
Mm-hmm. Actually, in the ancient copper mines up here in the UP, the tools they use are just round stones, just usually about like 3 to 8 pounds. They said they
Right.
found some, and they had grooves around them, a lot of them that they could use to put straps on and use it as like a hammer with a handle.
Mhm.
And they said some of them they found, I think, weighed up to like 40 or 50 pounds.
Wow,
It's either 25.
that's
They're
crazy.
absolutely huge. So they're thinking there might have been some big dudes swinging hammers back then too in the
Mhm.
Americas and the UP. And
Wow.
whether or not,
I mean, if you ever swing like a sledgehammer, they're like what, 5 pounds, 5 pound sledge or something.
usually
Maybe.
eight depends on how old it is or what kind of, if it's
Yeah,
composite or if it's wood handle.
exactly. So I mean, that gets tiring if you do that for a couple hours smashing rocks. Think about a 40 or 50 pound tool head. That's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. See, we can. So we brought up gigantism. We'll touch over that quick. And that's what that's what they figured most giants had, was gigantism. But there are also, I mean, nowadays there's still a lot of people with gigantism, but
Yes.
there are also people that don't have gigantism that are around today or have been around. We'll cover that later, but right now we're kind of doing the historical side of things. Before you get into gigantism, just take a hail just up north, Dale. Oh, we got Ronan the Crusader. Hey, man, how's it
What's
going?
up, Ronan? Good to see you.
All right. Gigantism is also called pediatric. Here's your word. Do you see the comments?
I'm gonna figure this out. Acro.
Ac-
Acromo. Okay. Okay.
What's
Yep.
up, Adam?
What's good to see you, Mr. Craig. We got from the knees up,
Thank you
waist
for
down.
joining.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
I just shared his Grok meme with a few friends last night. The Grok being reprogrammed last night. I just shared
That's pretty good.
meme he posted. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. What do we got? Acromegaly?
I'm done trying.
All right. Well,
Pituitary gigantism, shall we say? Yeah.
yeah. It's a rare condition. Happens that a child adolescent has high levels of growth hormone, GH, in their body, which causes them to grow very tall. And I believe it's a tumor. Yep, tumor on the pituitary can produce the excess GH and gigantism.
Mhm.
And a lot of people that have gigantism don't live very long lives because they
Mhm.
keep growing, and their internal organs, their heart gets so big, pumping all that blood. And
Yes.
unfortunately, they expire sooner than most people do. And then they have a lot of
Unfortunately,
ligament and bone problems because bone can only handle so much pounds per square inch structurally. So
Yeah, I've seen many cases where people lived only till their teens and 20s, and it's very sad, you know.
yeah, so that's what gigantism is.
Hmm.
And we were talking before the show, and I think I was reading or heard somewhere that only 1,200 people on Earth, there are 1,200 people on Earth that are over 7 foot tall. So
Okay.
you could use that argument that there's still giants. People say there's been no evidence of giants. Well, there's evidence of giant right there.
Mhm.
It's bigger than anyone else will ever see.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, is there a fixed scientific definition of what qualifies as a giant, like a height requirement to
I
be
don't
considered
know.
gigantic? I was trying to look it up, and it seems very unsettled. People are like, "Oh,
Okay.
I don't think there's a actual fixed height for that."
Height standard. Let me. StreamYards is fun.
Very, yeah,
Yeah, generally must be over 7 feet tall.
over 7 feet tall.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And I know a lot of people that were over 7 feet tall. Like this gentleman. Okay, that's a lot of stuff. Oh, weird stuff in there. But they don't have much strength.
Yes. So these would not qualify the people with gigantism as the people we're talking about lifting
Right.
125-pound body armor and
Yeah, these
no,
are
not so much.
naturally big
Yes.
individuals, whether human or something else. Oop. All right. So I know not you. The Nephilim are mentioned at least 100 verses in the Bible you were talking about. You showed me
Yes,
here.
they are. Yeah, so
Want to
we don't
cover?
have to go through all of
No,
them, of course. Not
just
all.
a
You don't
few of
want to read
them.
all 100? We're not going to do an audiobook. No.
I don't think we
But
have
like
time
I
for that.
said, no, like I said, right in the beginning, Genesis, as early as chapter 6. Chapter 6, verse 4, here in the King James, we have it saying, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men of old, men of renown." So we have, the sons of God, and you look in the
Mm-hmm.
note, meaning of that, that's the fallen angels were referred to as that. And they mated with female women, humans, and they bore mighty men of old. So there was even back then, there in the writing of when Moses wrote this in Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Moses writing this, he's saying way back then, and we look at Moses as way back then. So he's talking of. We have someone in ancient history talking about ancient history, so it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Men of old, in
Well,
numbers, even. Go ahead. What were you going to
I
say?
was going to say, like ancient men talking about ancient history. Um, Even the ancient Egyptians had their own archaeology departments. They were doing archaeology in ancient Egypt
Yes, they
for
did.
even older Egyptians,
Isn't that
which
crazy?
is, yeah, this means that there's been interest in the past as long as humanity's been around and able to record,
Hmm.
which I think is
And
part of the human.
I think that's a source of wisdom to look at the experiences of old for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. So Numbers, no, I think is he saying Gary's the ancient of ancients?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
got you. Give me a second. I was like,
yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, there's no apostrophe, so it's
Gary
not.
is the one that Moses was referring to when he wrote Genesis. So
Yeah, you
yeah,
could say Gary was Moses, but he's way older.
exactly. Yeah, he was there when Moses was born. So no, in Numbers, which is the final
Scooped
book
him out of
of
the water.
yeah of Moses's 5 books. Yeah, Numbers 13, 33, King James. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And so we were in their sight. So this was the Israelites seeking the promised land. And they sent out spies from the Israelite camp to go look over yonder, essentially, and they were terrified. They said they saw giant, mighty men, and they said, "Guys, we can't go to the promised land. There's big dudes over there, and we're not going to be able to conquer them." And so they came back, and this was them describing them in the Book of Numbers. And we were as grasshoppers compared to them, and in their sight, they saw us as grasshoppers as well. So
And
that's
that
a figure
means,
of speech, I'm very sure. But when we say
mhm,
grasshopper, I mean, are we talking 9 foot guys, or are we talking bigger? So
right? Yeah.
yeah.
So
So this is
Genesis.
just a couple more, if you want to do this one is pretty
Yeah.
good. Genesis 6, 1 through 22. This goes over the history, the beginning of the Nephilim, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth. So the descendants of Adam and Eve spreading forth, populating the face of the earth as they were commanded to do. Daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh. yet his days shall be 120 years. So, a lot of history there. God kind of putting a cap on the lifespan of humanity there as well at that time. And this just shows, yeah, the sons of God, the fallen angels, they saw the daughters of men, found them attractive, and they descended and they took wives and bore children of mixed breed, essentially half breed. So
Excuse me. Yeah, and like I said earlier, it's a common theme across a lot of religions and myths
very much so.
throughout history. Travis, hey, thanks for stopping in though. It'll still be here tomorrow, hopefully. So come check it out again. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Nice.
Yeah.
So let's scroll through a few more. Genesis kind of
Okay.
rehashing a lot of
Yeah.
the same things.
Yep. Yeah.
What's
Jude,
Jude have to say?
Job.
Jude is further into the Old Testament, and the
Okay.
angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved an everlasting change under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. So yeah, so it speaks here, before creation, there was the essentially civil war in heaven, and a third of the angels fell away with Lucifer. They did not keep their first estate; they fell away into their own habitation. And yeah, God has reserved eternal punishment in the darkness for them. So, as we're seeing, some of them said, "I don't know about that," and they went and did some stuff. So, and we're
Did
trying
some
to keep
things and
it.
some stuff.
We're trying to keep it, clean too, because as we can imagine, there's a lot of rough stuff in history, in terms of ancestry and stuff. So,
Yeah, sometimes that gene pool spreads unwillingly.
yeah, some Genghis Khan style. So,
That man
um,
populated the earth.
pretty much, yeah, conquerors, and yeah,
Yep, it's
further
Sodom and
on,
Gomorrah too.
yeah, except there wasn't much reproducing going on in Sodom and Gomorrah. That was
Yeah.
less productive means.
No, empty strange flesh. Okay. Example,
Do you
suffering the
want to?
vengeance of eternal fire. No, is I was hearing a story on that Snake Brothers video I was watching. He was talking about how the angels came down, Gabriel and the other angels, and they like basically God tried to keep destroying the Nephilim and giants, but they just didn't all die. So he tried 3-4 times or something like that. And eventually they put them in a burning pit, which I suppose you could consider hell. Or is it something?
Yeah, there's I can't even begin to list the numbers of times that there's a place that what we call hell.
Mm-hmm.
They call it different things in Hebrew. Many times it's called the pit.
Okay.
The dark place. Jesus referred to it as a place of weeping and gnashing of teeth. Essentially, Christians, modern day, we just refer to it as hell and the place of death. Death,
All right.
which is heaven being the place of everlasting life, and hell being the place of eternal death, the damnation. So,
Okay.
polar opposites.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I was bringing up other mythologies that have giants and stuff. We have, I'm just going to hate to use Wikipedia, but it's kind of a good place to find stuff. So we're going to use Wikipedia for that.
Wikipedia is good to find a stepping stone to get to somewhere better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, good place to find quick references and places to go to find said references. But
Exactly.
the Norse, they had the Jotun or Jotunheim. I know brought this one up first because Adam Krigler's in the chat. He lives in Norway, Sweden,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So the Norse mythology,
Viking
country. Yes, I gotta visit that place sometime. That whole
That'd be nice.
Scandinavia and everything. Yeah.
I'd love to visit Finland. I have
Sweden.
quarter Finnish.
I'm a terrible person.
Sweden.
Sorry. All right. A Jotun, also, no, you got Jotun, Jotnar.
That's
These
awesome.
are the normalized, scholarly, oldest Norse. Yeah, okay, we know how to say it by now. Contrast with gods, Aesir and Vanir, non-human figures such as dwarves and elves. The group isn't always mutually exclusive. Okay, let's get to a little more English epic poem, Beowulf. Oh,
Oh, let me grab something that you mentioned that.
Yeah. So, like I said, I just pulled this up quick, so it kind of came to me. Gotta read through here. Negative terms, troll and purrs. Okay, I got.
I recently just picked
Okay,
this
here
up.
we go.
That you mentioned it.
Oh, hold on. Oh boy, shit. Look at
Cool.
that.
I
There you
want to give
go.
that a read pretty soon. I recently got a copy of it at the bookstore, and looking forward to it. So
Yeah. Oh, sweet. I remember
yeah,
we read it in high school, and then we had to make we made our own movie. We had to make
really
our own
okay.
movie about Beowulf. Yeah, we made it completely goofy, but it worked out. It's still out there on the internet somewhere. I don't know where, but
That'd
I
be awesome
can't
to
find
see
it anywhere.
sometime. Maybe if you can find it, it'd be cool to show it on the show.
If I can find it, I'll just post it as a video on the channel.
That'd be cool.
Hey, Jake,
What's up, Jake?
thanks for jumping in. All right, so back to Jotner. The terms for Jotnar are often translated in modern English as giant or giantess. John Lindau uses the glosses to contrast them with gods, but notes they are not all giant, being similar in size to the gods and are best conceived of as kin or family groups separated by relation rather than physical appearance. There's a lot of stuff going on in this. That's why I don't like Wikipedia. There's a lot of
Yeah, it can be.
yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, it can be hard to track sometimes.
We'll pull that away for a little bit. I know another myth in the Americas here is the Lovelock Cave.
Hmm.
You
Where
ever
was
hear
that
of it?
located again? What
I think it was
state?
Nevada.
Nevada. I know
Right,
it's the
New
Southwest. I can
Mexico.
never
I got to pull
remember.
it up right here. I'll just pull it up if I can find the. Man, I'm
When you have so many tabs open, it can be a little hard to keep track.
Yeah, I know. Oh well. Anyways, we'll pull it up. Rough time here. Still not used to doing the streaming on this.
Well, this is stream number 2.
Stream number 2 on this channel, absolutely, and it's a completely different type of stream than what I do on Fridays. So it's a lot easier to laugh at jokes and pictures and actually try to be somewhat serious. So I know
Over
it's
on Drink Up.
over on Drink Up, absolutely. So yep, it was Nevada. I forgot I took notes here. Lovelock, Nevada. The Paiute Indians in Nevada described red-haired giants they called Siteka. This is just my notes. And long story short, the redhead giants, or Siteka, came in on boats made of some sort of reeds, basically, from a faraway land, and were terrorizing the Paiute in the area, Paiute Indians. And they were cannibalistic, brutal, and they waged a long war against them. And eventually they were able to drive the giants into a cave where they basically held them in there and burned the whole cave down, killing all the giants.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they essentially genocided the giants at that time.
Yes. Yep. But it was like a back and forth war for years, and they use their boats. The giants would use their boats to get away quick on the lake. It was a glacial lake that was there at the time, which is, as far as I'm aware now, just a dry lake bed. I found this one earlier. This article I had pulled up. This is scientists still baffled from giant human skeletons up to 10 feet tall decades after initial discovery. And when you say, oh, what do you mean? And I think it was 1913 or 14 they found. We'll just read through it. Excuse me. A series of mysterious giant skeletons up to 10 feet tall, reportedly discovered in and around Nevada caves last century, dubbed the Giants of Lovelock. Wow, I can't read today either. It'll be fun tomorrow.
Oh, speaking of ancient history, that Biden video keeps popping up.
Yeah, it knows exactly what's going on here. Let's see here. The claims about supersized humans who roam the area around Lovelock, a remote town 90 miles northeast of Reno, thousands of years ago, are rooted in Native American lore, which tells of fierce, red-headed, pale-skinned giants who arrived from Central America by boat and attacked local tribes. After years of war, the foreign invaders were chased into a cave and slaughtered en masse, according to stories passed down by the indigenous Paiute people. And it says dozens of giant skeletons were reportedly found in the cave. Experts believe the tale of giant warriors' violent extermination is likely a legend, but reports of discoveries made in the area of Lovelock decades ago have continued to raise many unanswered questions. The first foray into Lovelock Cave made in 1911 when a pair of miners searching for guano, or bat excrement used as fertilizer, allegedly unearthed 60 human skeletons, including some measuring between 7 and 8 feet tall. The extraordinary find was mentioned in 1935 biography of miner engineer John T. Reed, but no evidence proving the existence of the gargantuan remains ever materialized, reported the magazine Archaeology World. However, 2 subsequent excavations were carried out in 1912 and 24 brought to light thousands of ancient artifacts, among them a well-worn sandal measuring an astonishing 15 inches in length, which is the equivalent of a modern-day size 29 shoe. And Shaquille O'Neal.
Size 29? That's crazy.
And for comparison, Shaquille O'Neal is 7'1", and he wears a size 22. So that's 7 sizes bigger than Shaq.
That's believable. That's very believable. Yeah.
Yep. Which there's a picture of it right there. I mean, that's a big foot. Terrifyingly big. Excuse me. It says radiocarbon dating later placed human bone fragments and plant material found in the cave to 2030 BC and 1218 BC. Now, I know I was trying to find it earlier, but I thought they found another massive footprint somewhere out west, or maybe it was somewhere in a different country, but I could have sworn I just saw or read something about it, even a video someone talking about it recently, and I couldn't find it.
Was that the another New Mexico one?
I don't know, because I know it was a White Sands is where they found the 23,000-year-old footprints, which I think they were just average size, normal size human footprints, but I don't know which one it was. But you could almost maybe these red-haired giants were leftovers of a Nephilim bloodline.
Very possible. Yep.
Or maybe it was a different race.
Maybe they were just a bunch of Irish boys that ate too many potatoes too. You never know.
Excuse me. Jake Martin. Giganticide.
Giganticide.
Yep. Yeah. I know what's interesting is they're red-haired, pale-skinned giants. They say they came from Central America. And I was reading a magazine, Ancient America magazine. And it was talking about a tribe in South America or Central America where like a large population of their actual lineage is pale skin and red haired. But their normal human height. Yeah, I remember reading about that. I'll have to see if I can pull something up on it. But
it's funny because we always attribute that to European.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these are native in I think the Amazon or something like that.
Now, is it true that I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but also red hair, people have said, can be an attribute of inbreeding too, potentially. Very close over the course of generations and stuff. And
the king?
Yeah. And for the record, I do not have red hair. This is blonde. I just have bad lighting. So
he's always called the ginger in the group.
Apparently, yeah. Or Jinja to you, Jinja. No hard R's around here.
Let's see. It's not working. Oh well. I'll look for it later. So let's see here. Another surprising discovery made inside the Lovelock Cave was a handprint embedded in the rock that measured twice the size of an average human palm. That would take some force to push in the rock, so I'm not sure how much reality would be between that. But the remains reportedly measured 8.5 to 10 feet, respectively, and were described as having red hair. Some experts believe the red tint of the hair could have been caused by exposure to the environment, and the appearance of the skeletons dovetails with the Paiute tribe's stories about a group of giant red-headed barbarians known as the Siteka. And that's obviously the first thing is like, oh, it was It was where they were found, just the ecosystem environment around it caused them to turn orange or caused them to turn red haired. But I mean, I don't know how much truth is to
Possibly.
that.
Yeah.
There could be some truth. I know they found mummies in Egypt that had red hair. A lot of the some of the Paracas skulls in um, Peru, I think they had red hair. Some had red hair. The elongated skulls.
I was told that the ancient Egyptians were all very, very black, according to Netflix.
They was
That's what I was
kings.
told. They yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
So this lady right here, I believe she wrote. I'm thinking of Paiute tribal legends talk of the race of red-headed giants who invaded. Okay, we already went that. But I think this is a woman that wrote a book based on the oral stories told by the Paiute down from her father, who was a chief. I think it'll go over that in a minute. It says, legend has it the Site Ka came to Nevada from distant lands some 3,000 years ago after crossing the ocean in boats made from the bulrush plant. Okay. The
Okay.
fierce newcomer is said to have attacked the local inhabitants, unleashing a bloody years-long conflict. Finally, various tribes in the area joined forces to hunt down and exterminate the barbarians, according to the stories. So yeah. Oh, I
Yeah, it
forgot
makes
about
you wonder.
this.
The red hair.
Mm-hmm.
What what are they attributing that to? Like they said, potentially, obviously genetics, but could they have been dyeing it? I mean, I doubt that. That seems very unlikely. They wouldn't be purposely turning their hair red
No,
with some
but if
sort of
they're,
natural means.
yeah, I mean, even just a pale skin itself, and then coming across the ocean. Now, granted, the oceans could have had a different body of water. They talked about the ocean because this is post glacial America, where there's a lot
Mhm.
more glacial lakes and whatnot. So I don't know if, but the pale skin, that's maybe it's a, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of myths and legends in a lot of South American and Indian Native American tribes that speak of pale skinned men of large stature with either big red beards or large beards coming in. So you could almost use that kind of connection across the way.
Yeah, there are many stories. People, ancient records of Native Americans, Indians talking about essentially what we would attribute to being like Nordic people coming here very many years ago. Red hair originate. I have heard that. Yeah,
Okay.
originated from Iran. Yeah.
Really? That's interesting.
Mhm.
What's Jake Martin saying there?
That's very true. Um, which one are you, Jake? Are you orange or are you green?
Green.
Um, I think he's talking about the troubles in Ireland back in the day.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I got this OP Jeff was talking about that. Robert Sapir, Instagram post yeah here.
Instagram.
Yeah, it popped up. Yeah, 3,000-year old. Well, I'll zoom that in a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah. Head from the Egyptian mummy of an adult male. Blue inlay survives in one eye. Traces of blondish ginger hair and beard survive where linen mummy wrappings have peeled away.
Hmm.
Mummy DNA reveals ancient Egyptian ancestry.
It's pretty cool that they depict it with a blue eye. That's cool.
No, I think that's the actual eye that might have been, or no, it's inlay. Never mind.
Yeah. But they made a point to document that in the
Yep,
thing because
exactly.
blue eyes are that's a white person thing. And
Yeah,
that's
that's pretty neat. I know. I thought I heard something about it. So thank you, OP Jeff. Appreciate
hmm,
it. Hmm.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't find anything there. Yeah, then you have just other, just quick cover of other mythologies and stuff. I mean, in the Greeks, they had well, okay, they had giants. Drawing a blank. Sorry, folks.
No, but they had Titans and
Tight. Oh,
all
yep. Well, even the gods.
depictions of the Greeks, various Greek gods, lowercase
Hmm.
g, and all sorts of stuff. Like you mentioned, they talk about heavenly figures breeding with humanity. And what was his name? What was the half breed in Greek mythology?
Heracles, Hercules, whichever one.
Yes. Yeah, he was a half breed, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's demigod, son of Zeus.
Okay, yep. Demigod. That's what I was
Yep,
thinking of, the term
yep.
demigod. Yes, so that's what we're talking about. Which essentially that would almost apply to, Nephilim, essentially. So,
Yeah, exactly. And then they had their gods, the Greek gods, the main gods, and then they had the Titans, which were the gods, they're the parents of the Greek gods, the Olympians, which were even bigger and older.
yes.
So let's see. Yeah, we'll do a quick Greek giants. I'll pull this up. There's a few footnotes of giants in Greek history. Man.
Yeah, the Greeks are a great culture, nowadays and
Oh,
stuff.
wrong
And
one.
I've
We'll
met a
go
lot.
over Gregory Little though. I like talking about stuff. Sorry, go ahead, Isaac.
No, I've met a lot of great Greek people. They're very proud of of their history, and it's cool to this day that it's just ingrained in them
Mm-hmm.
from birth to remember and value their history as a
Which is
people.
such a bad thing, apparently.
Oh yeah, it's horrible to know where you came from. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, so famous Greek giants, we got Alcyoneus, king of the Thracian giants, who was slain by Heracles. Antaeus, gigantic Libyan king who wrestled to death all visitors to his realm until he was slain by Heracles. Encladus, one of the Thracian giants who was buried by the goddess Athena beneath Mount Etna. Polybotes, Thracian. Apparently, everything was in Thrace. Thracian giant who's where's that one? Oh no, never mind. Was buried beneath an island by Poseidon during the war with the gods. So this is just going in their history of the Olympians, the gods, not their actual. Yeah. So Orion, the gigantic hunter, the ability to walk on water. He was slain by Gaia or Artemis for some offense and placed among the stars as a constellation. I like that one. Which Orion's belt, I mean, is one of the most very important
Yeah.
constellations across the entire world for any of the
Mhm.
skyward looking people that made their monuments. I mean, the pyramids are allegedly in the same
Mhm.
formation as
Finally. Yeah.
Orion's belt. Yeah.
Lots of stuff in the Bible about the star tracking, time,
Okay.
documenting, all sorts of stuff.
Well, you think
Tons.
about it. People back then didn't have much to do at night other than look at the stars. You didn't have
Pretty
light
much.
pollution like we have nowadays with light, like just cities in general.
Mhm. Especially, you're out in the desert, you don't have foliage to block your view and stuff too, where
Exactly.
you're at. Even better if you have a higher vantage point to see things, broader view.
Oh, for
Um,
sure. Yeah. Bright
so
red for some reason. I don't like this light. Excuse me. I was gonna get back to what I accidentally pulled up there when I was going to talk about the Greek gods. There's more giants in America. Now, you've heard of like the Indian mounds across
yes, of course,
America, the mountain
burial
complexes.
mounds. Yep.
Yep. Allegedly, in a lot of them, they found giant skeletons from 7 to 10 feet tall,
Hmm.
and yet there's apparently no proof on it. Because I think Thomas Jefferson I was listening on that Snake Bros episode. He said Thomas Jefferson cut one in half to get inside and look what was in there, and they found all these skeletons that were just huge. Their skull is massive.
Really?
Yeah, and because they're so old and the type of soil that it's preserved in, as soon as that gets scraped away, it'll crumble to dust. And that's
Mhm.
the argument on a lot of these excavations where they said they found giant skeletons is they crumbled to dust.
That sucks.
Yeah, which
Because
there
they're
is actually.
eternally preserved in the old soil. Yeah.
Yep, yep. In the old soil, it's basically it preserves a shape, but it's already crumbled to dust. It's just still in the shape of that it was, and as soon as that loses
Right.
the stuff around it, it just poofs away.
That's awful.
Yeah. So Gregory L. Little, go follow him on Twitter. Awesome stuff. He's got a bunch of great posts almost every day about mounds and artifacts found on mounds. It says the Creesob Mound in 1958. This West Virginia mound was excavated in 1958 by a team led by Don Dragoo of the Carnegie Museum of Pittsburgh. 54 burials were found, and one measured at 7 foot 1 inches tall. And his 1961 book, Mounds for the Dead, contains a photo of the 7 foot tall skeleton. To my knowledge, it is the only publicly available photo of any of the roughly 25 7 foot skeletons excavated from mounds. When he was writing his book, Path of Souls, he asked the Carnegie Museum if he could obtain reproduction rights to have that photo, and the request was strictly denied.
Wow.
Kind of odd.
Strictly denied. So
Strictly.
not even up for
Yeah.
for interpretation or question or anything. They just
Mm-hmm.
100% shot down.
Yeah, it seems like museums don't like sharing stuff that might be controversial yet existed.
As I hit my camera. Yeah, isn't there controversy where they say the Smithsonian allegedly, purposely, not just mistakenly, but purposely
Yeah.
just destroyed and or mishandled and or were
A lot of
negligent
things.
and or were like I said, purposefully hiding
Mm-hmm.
certain materials.
Yeah, so there's allegedly, I don't know. I mean, I
Because
think
we don't want to accuse any institution of doing
right.
anything that we have no evidence of, but there's a lot of controversy, myth.
Yeah, so allegedly the Smithsonian was in possession of giant skeletons or skulls, and they disappeared. And the theory is, or story is, they were thrown in the river nearby. And I pulled this up. We got Snopes to see if it's gonna tell anything. They're saying it's fake. Imagine that.
Wow.
But
yeah, I totally trust
the internet. You can't. It's so hard to find some stuff on the internet when you're trying to look for something, because who knows what's actually been suppressed and what's allowed out there.
Well, just go to Google and go to the last page at the bottom of the last page, and you should probably be better off. Whatever they're hiding at the back.
The last page will probably be the same as the first page. Sponsored.
True. Pay to
play. Let's see. Yeah, everywhere I look, it says there's lack of evidence of giants ever existing. There's still giants around nowadays.
That sounds very
I can't find anything on that.
repetitious and scripted.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sounds like the AI was
yeah,
writing something up.
Write my news article. Well, we've all seen on social media the clip that goes around where it's all these news agencies from across the country, and there's like 100 of them, and it's word for word for word for word overlaid, and they're just exactly quoting the same thing. Yep. It's actually terrifying. It's like Orwellian.
Bluebird or a mockingbird.
Yeah. But so, and unfortunately, because I'm less familiar, but I'm familiar enough in the ancient history side as you are. But I'm sure there's a ton of suppressed history, tons, and there's a ton of people now that are still active doing it that are suppressed.
Yeah, they say they're not suppressing it, but their arguments are usually they omit facts or they misspeak, and they use that as their guaranteed, there's my proof. When they aren't telling the truth a lot of times. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great archaeologists, historians out there, fantastic. We wouldn't know half the stuff we did or some of the stuff we didn't.
It's very true.
Yeah. As I was speaking, like I said, there's giants nowadays, right?
Yes, there is, yeah.
I mean, one case in point, if it pulls up here. Let's just do this one. One of them, I believe he might actually have some gigantism, though. Is the mountain himself.
That guy's huge.
Hafthor Bjornsson. Yep, he is one of, if not the world's strongest man, definitely. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, he's one of. Yeah, I know Eddie Hall and Brian Shaw.
Eddie Hall. Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall are both Matt. Eddie Hall's not so big, but Brian Shaw, he's big.
Brian Shaw is huge. I think he's pushing 500 pounds sometimes when he's training.
Yeah. All right, so Hafthor is 6'9", so I guess he doesn't actually consider to be a giant.
Wow. So wait a minute, you're telling me that Thor is only 7 inches taller than me?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wait, you're telling me that you're 2 inches taller than me?
I'm 6'2", yeah.
Oh boy,
And, I'm the shortest man in my family, too.
really? That sucks. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
I know.
I
No,
think
it's
I'm the
like I'm
tallest at
6'2", and people are
6.
like, "Oh, you're tall." It's like, well, don't ask my dad.
Yeah, no kidding. I think I'm tall. I think everyone in my family leveled out at about 6 foot.
Yeah.
But my
That's
dad and I were the tallest.
that's good. No, that's
Yeah.
that's still better than, having a 5 in front of it, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. How big was Brian Shaw? I know there's been more. We'll get into. I can't type.
Ryan Shasha. Height.
I know he's a big dude. He had to have been close to 6.
Yeah, Brian
6'6".
Shaw, they
Yeah.
both have
I thought
great
he was
YouTube
bigger.
channels too, him and Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
YouTube channels.
We'll see. I'm gonna take this
It says
away.
here 6'8", allegedly. So
Yeah.
seems like he's
Yeah.
taller than that, though. I don't think Brian Shaw's only half a foot taller than me. Maybe
I don't know.
because you see these guys on video, it's like this guy's a foot taller than me at least.
Big dudes. And you can even use Shaquille O'Neal at Giants. I mean,
Yes,
yeah. So the evidence that there's no Giants, that's a lie.
yes.
Let's see what else.
Especially when you consider the ancient people documenting this stuff. Israelites and stuff. They were shorter than we
Mhm.
were too. So their perception of what a giant is was even greater than us.
Yeah, and that's another misconception is people think when they hear giants, they think like 30, 40 foot tall, because a lot of stories do have giants 30, 40 foot tall, but I don't know. Yeah,
Well, I've seen it in some of the old like Christian, I'd say very lightly,
mhm.
cartoons from like the 50s, 60s, 70s. And they did some of them. I remember seeing them that
Okay.
they depicted Goliath as like 20 feet tall, like triple the size of the rest of the guys. When we're saying here, he was like 50% taller, not
Right.
double, triple, quadruple the height. He wasn't like the size of something from an MCU movie or something.
Yeah. Oh, what the hell? I had it pulled up. I don't know where it went. I was gonna pull up the Denisovans. You could almost say they were giants compared to humans, at least.
Hmm.
So the Denisovans or Denisovans were a hominid that were found in Siberia in a cave. And the only remain they found, I think, was a piece of a finger and either a tooth or a piece of a tooth.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And they found a skull a few years back, and they were able to actually now, identify it as a Denisovan skull. And I'll share my screen here. And Matt Bell on his channel or on his X shared this picture showing the hypothetical size comparison to a modern human.
That makes sense. So that's you
Yeah,
and
that
I
puts
next
him.
to Shaquille O'Neal, basically.
Yep, and it puts it at 7 foot. So you could even potentially use the argument that maybe the Giants were just another Denisovan or a branch off of them. Because in the human history, or whatever if they're human or not, Gigantopithecus, which is like a large, hairy, bipedal ape, like humanoid hominid, they have skull, they have bones and stuff of them, and they were that big, which is basically like an ancient version of Bigfoot, what Bigfoot would be.
Yeah, yeah. And then, as we know, the lore of Bigfoot evolves over time and becomes this crazy thing when we think might just be something as simple as this.
Maybe it's just, yeah. Maybe it's just one of these guys running around after 100,000 years or whatever it was. Yeah. Then there's the community note. This image was invented without supporting data and probably generated as clickbait. No Denisovan remains have been found yet that can provide height estimates. Even the most recent discoveries do not provide data. You could use the skull size and potentially,
Yeah.
I mean, compared to a human.
You can estimate things.
Yeah. Based on other remains of hominids we found over the years, and if this one's generally going to be bipedal and the same, Yeah, that's a terrible note, anyways.
Yeah, community notes can be very hit and miss sometimes. I don't know who's running it. It depends who's running it and what mood they're in at the time. Because
Right.
sometimes they're savage, hilarious, and spot on, and other times it's like, what is this old Twitter? Like, come on.
I don't know. One more. What's gonna do here? One more on the giants existing nowadays.
Hmm.
So I was telling you earlier about the underwhelming podcast, the Fat Electricians,
Yeah.
and this gentleman right here pulls it back up. I don't want to play it. JWolf59, he's a Twitch streamer. And I believe he's the son of a professional football player. I think he played football in college or played professional. But he is 7'1" and 460 pounds.
Whoa, that's a big boy.
And,
Yeah.
and just completely naturally, no gigantism. There's no tumors on the pituitary gland. He has got no health issues like that. He is
Well,
naturally
he
that
looks.
big.
I mean, he actually, besides possibly some weight or whatever, he looks
Mhm.
healthy. He doesn't
Right.
look at. He doesn't look atrophied. He doesn't look weak. He
Mhm.
looks like just a solid dude.
That's a strong dude. He was talking in the
Yeah.
video about like when he was like maxing out any of his weights and stuff like that, and people are just amazed. He's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just astronomical how. So yeah, he doesn't have the gigantism because he is big. He's strong. He doesn't have the health issues. But at 7'1", and there are 1,200 people on Earth yet that are over 7 foot. That's how rare it is to be that big, and most of
Right.
those people have gigantism.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a picture. I was gonna have him next to a guy that they did a boxing match or something like that, and they had a picture of them next to each other, and it was how much bigger he was than the guy.
Hmm. Yeah, I can only imagine standing next to him. He must tower over an average dude.
Yeah. Let's see here. Forgot to save it before the show.
Oh yeah, it. Sometimes you got to pull things up last minute, but I gotta subscribe
Yeah,
to this channel, Underwhelming Podcast.
it's pretty
This Fat
good.
Electrician Show, Fat
Yep, him
Electricians.
and that the other guy that was talking. It's pretty good.
Nice.
I enjoy listening to it.
That's awesome.
So I don't know for reference how big the guy he's standing next to is, but he's probably average height, 6 foot, 6'2".
Hmm.
That's
Holy
a big
crap!
boy.
Yeah, I would
Yep.
not want to face that guy down in the ring, to say the least.
No. Yeah, and he's just extremely strong too. So
Yeah, so I don't think that's stereotypical gigantism where you see, like I said, people
no.
atrophied and withered, sickly.
Hmm.
He looks healthy. So
Right. And archaeologists and scientists always completely throw out the idea that any of these skeletons that were found in the mounds were 7 foot or taller. There's still people nowadays that are that tall. Who's to
yeah,
say
so
that
what are they getting
there's
at? Yeah,
yeah, it's yeah,
we don't need ancient skeletons when we have living people.
exactly.
That qualify. So
Yeah, because I know always archaeology and science always try to stay completely away from uh, like Catholicism, Christianity, and other
yeah,
religions. And I think they would in turn consider that to be in the realm of Nephilim, maybe the theories of
yeah,
Nephilim and giants in the Bible. So I think a lot of times they'll just say no, they never existed or they don't exist. That'd be my guess on that, from what I gathered.
really. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they need to dig a little deeper, I think, and take
Hmm.
take be open minded and take references from everywhere, which is what I think we're trying to do. Look at everything holistically and to try to derive some common features.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's you got to go into stuff like this with an open mind, no matter what side you're on.
Hmm. Absolutely, I would agree, and that's why we're perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Myself, and I am a Christian, and I believe in the Bible, and
Right.
but that being said, too, yeah, I mean, you have to be willing to have conversation and look at every point of view, and there's
Right.
history from all around the world, and I think Gary even mentioned on Forbidden Frontier one time that a lot of early archaeologists from the Western world heading to places like Egypt and the Middle East and places like that were priests. A lot of them were priests, and a lot of them were theologians that were seeking to reinforce their biblical teaching with tangible evidence and stuff. A lot of ones from a couple hundred years ago doing
Hmm.
that. So yeah, I mean, a lot of scientists, a lot of our most renowned scientists were Christian, and
Oh yeah. It
yeah.
seems like there's a disconnect somewhere along the way where I think some people got overzealous on their beliefs or disbeliefs.
Hmm.
But I mean, there's that argument that the Bible is a history book.
Yep.
And the more and more I've been looking into it, like I said, I'm not very religious at all. But I've always gone in. Well, when I was younger, I was kind of like anti all that, But as I get older and start thinking about things, looking at things,
Right.
you become more open minded, and this makes a lot of sense.
Hmm. Yeah,
And just
Christianity is not the people modern day who are we're all very flawed that
hmm.
represent it. That's not Christianity is the word and the
Okay,
message in it. It's the people. If you rely on people to represent it, you're going to be disappointed because everybody on this planet's flawed.
yeah,
And yeah. So anyone who claims to be like, I know everything, they're wrong. You have to be like, no, I'm willing to learn over time.
we know nothing.
Yeah.
Especially the
So,
smartest man in the world probably still knows nothing, or woman still knows nothing
well,
in the
we know
grand
they know.
scheme of
I'm
things. In the
kidding.
grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
All right, Jake Martin, Marfan syndrome.
Really? Okay. You're
Huh.
6'5", Jake. Damn.
There's a lot of big boys in the fellowship in the GCA, the
Yeah,
199.
that there is. I mean, corn
Wow,
boy.
corn boy, yeah.
Yep.
You, big dog, Jake Martin. Man, I feel
I
small.
mean,
That law when I met them at MegaCon, I felt tiny compared to them.
well, you showed me that picture you took next to him. He's towering over you. Yeah.
They both were, yeah.
Cabal
They said
Vanguard. Damn, dude.
hmm, damn.
Yeah, Jake, you're 3 inches taller than me. Damn.
Marfan syndrome. Gotta look that up. And because I didn't click on the screen, nothing happened.
StreamYard. It do be like
It's
that sometimes.
StreamYard. Yeah, StreamYard's a lot different when I have on my own computer with the two screens side by side versus the setup we
Yes.
have for Drink Up, which is kind of the same thing, but the computer's so much slower, or the TV is so much slower that we use as a computer screen that we can't even get stuff to work half the time.
Hmm.
All right, let's see.
I've actually never heard of Marfan syndrome before.
Neither have I. That's why I want to look it up quick. So we have the Marfan Foundation. Well, 1 in 5,000 people have Marfan syndrome. Oh, there it goes. Inherited genetic mutation for parents. So what is it? Okay, there we go. Connective tissue found throughout the body. Marfan syndrome can affect many different parts of the body as well. Features of the disorder are most often found in the heart, blood vessels, joints. Let's see here. For example, aortic enlargement, expansion of the main blood vessel that carries blood away from the heart to the rest of the body. It can be life-threatening. The lungs, skin, and nervous system may also be affected.
That last line is killing me. Marfan syndrome does not affect intelligence.
Yeah.
They had to put that in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. I had no idea about that.
Very interesting. Yeah. Because, yeah, we talked about, but once you start messing with the heart and enlargement of the heart and stuff, that's when you run into serious issues. That's tough.
That's pretty interesting.
There's a famous pianist, really.
Pianist. Crazy big reach. Okay, so I suppose that makes sense then. Can like make everything bigger, lankier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's cool, but it sounds
I mean,
unfortunate for the person.
If he was a good pianist,
you got to use your detriment to your use You have to use your flaws to your
I
favor.
can't play the piano, so
No. I honestly wish that my parents had me take piano or guitar lessons as a kid. That'd been fantastic.
I agree. Yeah.
Oh well.
Same here. Is what it is. Can take up other hobbies now, at
Yep.
least.
Well, we ran over the hour mark a little bit ago, I just noticed.
All right.
Figured any closing remarks on regarding the Nephilim giants, either side, Bible or um, historical or different mythologies?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's cool. We took many point of views into account. Stuff here in the Americas. Natives talking about many accounts of large statured people, light skin, red hair, and then of course, for me, I've grown up my whole life. I've read the Bible, and I've always learned about the Nephilim and large, mighty men. So yeah, it's something that's ingrained in my head canon of history.
Mhm.
There are giants. I'm full believer in that, and I believe it does stem from the stuff in the Bible is Nephilim, just word for word. I believe in that. That's my take. I think there's other takes, as you're saying too. We have very large statured people today that
Right.
are huge. So I think it's undeniable that we've had some very large people walk this planet and still do. And maybe in
Mhm.
the past there were some even bigger ones than what we have today. But yeah, I think it's undeniable. Giants existed in history, and there's many points of evidence that I think come bring us to that conclusion. So pretty cool discussion though, nonetheless. And
Yeah,
glad we had it.
yeah, yeah. I didn't realize that giants and Nephilim were mentioned in the Bible that much.
Very heavily. Yeah.
That's I mean, I like earthbound giants, not like the uh,
Yes.
godlike giants or angels. But yeah, everything. I mean, like I said, Bruce just brought that up, and I forgot to bring it up earlier. But you could even say with the last ice age, before the last ice age, all the megafauna that were across the world. These like huge mastodons, mammoths, giant sloth, short-faced bear, all them. If those animals could get that big, who's to say that any of the humans on Earth couldn't have gotten that big?
You make a good point. There were species of animals
Mhm.
back in the day that were bigger, and they've shrunk.
Right, and you could
Domesticated,
say,
basically.
yeah, and you could even say if the CO2 in the atmosphere is a lot higher, plants use CO2 to survive. That's plant food. More vegetation, more plants. Would that have been a factor in these animals and possibly humans at the time gotten so large? There could even maybe they said there's more oxygen in the air. Who knows? Because there's that much more plants, more CO2, and vice versa.
It's
Everything was
prime
bigger.
for growth. Yeah.
Even yeah. So
Because
yeah,
we
you
are
could even
nutritionally starved as a people, and oxygen
mhm.
is a great factor, for healing and therapy and rehabilitation. And imagine if you were raised in that from birth, being in an
Right.
oxygen-rich environment, barometric
Oxygen
chamber,
rich.
whatever. Yeah.
Yep. And say plenty of food. I mean, you have the
Yes.
lush plants and vegetables. And the animals are so much bigger, so you're gonna have so much more meat and
Yep.
protein to get in your diet. And you're not
Yep.
gonna have all the shitty foods and stuff that we have nowadays that are making us
No
all fat and
chemicals.
lazy.
No chemicals. No seed
Exactly.
oils making you gay.
hmm Everything's all natural. As
Yep.
natural as you can get back then. Hey, Megwai guy. That's all right. Yeah, yeah.
That
Oh,
would be
check it
awesome.
out. Yeah,
We had a
if you ever
good talk.
want to
So
discuss some
definitely
more,
give it a
yeah, for
rewatch.
sure. So yeah, the conclusion I've come to is I also believe there were giants, humans, or Nephilim, some sort of crossbreed or something or whatever. Because like I said, we have hominids that were large in stature already in the uh, archaeological record that are separated even from us by quite a bit, but still related. Secondly, the giant skeletons and stuff found in the mountains, there's no reason they couldn't have, because as I said, we have giants just as big now, people just as big nowadays. So,
Very true.
yep. My conclusion: they were around, and there's still some here.
I
They
agree.
might not be as big as they were, which is also crazy thought, thinking 7 foot tall or taller could be small compared to what they were thousands of years ago. And I'm sure it was. So,
Very much so.
yeah. I think we're going to wrap it up there, though.
Yeah.
Wanted to thank everyone that hopped in, the chat, lurkers, anyone that's going to come back and watch this later. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Isaac, where can people find you? What you got going on?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be here when we're here, and we're going to be doing this show. This was fun. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. This was an awesome discussion. Yeah, just subscribe to my channel, as you can see there, Isaac556 by 45. I'm just doing the Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Golden Age podcast every single week. We're talking politics and pop culture, culture war stuff, doing some memes as well. And we have some serious and lighthearted discussions as well. So I'll be having some awesome guests on the next few weeks. You might see me. I can't quite announce it yet. I'm going to be guesting on a couple channels we know here in the Fellowship, and have a couple things lined up. I'll be on pretty soon. So I'll be posting updates, but keep an eye out, and yeah, subscribe to Jeff too while you're here if you're not.
Hey. No, that'd be great. Thank you. Yeah, so go subscribe to Isaac on his channel there. Great live streams, as you said, every Monday. Been on it a few times. It's a good time. A lot of great guests, great topics. Especially if you're into politics, big on that. And on my end, I posted a video on Monday on my channel here talking about how much copper was mined, how much copper they think was mined in the ancient copper mining, the Great Lakes region here. So go check that out if you're interested in any of that stuff. I'd really appreciate it. Hopefully a new video coming out next Monday. I try to get some on the ground footage this weekend. I'm going down to a concert in Green Bay, and there's a bunch of different mountain complexes in between. So nice. Sunday on my way back, I want to stop at a bunch and get some pictures and some footage and just kind of break it up a little bit on the channel. So
that'd be awesome. I look forward to watching.
Yeah, let's just hope the weather holds out. Be walking in the rain.
I know.
Absolutely, Jake. Thanks for showing up. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jake. We appreciate you.
Once again, want to thank everyone, chat, and people that are just lurkers. Thank you very much. And we will announce the next time we have a stream coming up. It's kind of in the air right now. But we also still need to think of a good name. Because right now it's Jeff and Isaac Talk History.
Yep. It's evolving.
It's a work in progress. Yeah.
Yeah. So follow us both on X as well, because we're posting updates. So you know where to find us. Yeah.
Go ahead. Keep talking.
I think that's where you and I post a lot of our updates for whatever shows we're on. We tend to repost, retweet, whatever. So yeah. And if people, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but it's speaking for myself. I always say if people have suggestions for stuff, let me know, let us know.
Oh, absolutely. No,
constructive criticism, suggestions, input, chat, definitely always speak up,
No, I love any suggestions or even topics that might be interesting that we'd never think of.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
And because you can do all the research you want on something, but if there could be something you're missing, someone puts that little worm in your ear, you're like,
yep.
All right. And you just fall down a rabbit hole that could help you for a long time.
That's why surrounding yourself with good people comes into play, because
absolutely
you get more eyes on target and more of a likelihood of hitting the target. You get more points of view on things, so come to some good conclusions.
Oh, for sure. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, half my week is doing research on stuff, whether it's reading books or just scouring the internet, watching podcasts and videos. I love it. It's an absolute fun.
That's big part for me too. It's become my favorite hobby at this point. Doing live streaming is I love the streaming end. I love interacting with people, the guests chat, but doing the research ahead of time and getting everything set up is actually super fun.
Yeah, I did a pretty piss poor job of getting everything set up today. I had 15 minutes to get everything ready quick when I got home. So
there's times maybe we all hide it, but we're pulling up articles as we're live at times.
There's no hiding on my end because I'm literally looking over here, see me typing. So
it's real though, and people appreciate it. So.
Yeah, I do my best. So yeah, for the last time, I think this is what we call a Midwest goodbye. Last another 20 minutes after you say goodbye
We'll
the
see it
first
13
time.
more times.
Then you got to slap yourself on the leg and say, well, I suppose.
Well,
So,
I'll be seeing you.
well, I suppose.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Nice.